Hello, welcome back. This is a wee featurette about brake pipe flares, because I've had a whole load of questions asked of me since I discovered the brake pipe flare disasters on the series Land Rover, the one with the 200 TDI in it. So I probably haven't made it very clear. So let me see if I can make it clearer for you so you understand. Help you. Let's get a pencil and let's get the straight in. So, doing it nice and big here, got a brake pipe. What I'm going to do is I'm going to draw 3 brake pipes, but I'm not going to do them at that scale because you're not going to see it. I'm going to do them bloody huge. Okay? And then I'm going to do another one. So it's literally a cross section of a brake pipe. Okay, there's 1 brake pipe, 2 brake pipes, 3 brake pipes. And what we're going to do is we're going to put a flare onto the top of each one of these. Okay? Can you see this? Bring it a little bit closer. Can you see now? Yes, you can. Right. So, when I'm flaring a brake pipe, I'm using this adapter inside this tool, and I'll demonstrate it in a second, to create a flare. Now, if you're going to create a single flare, I can do that using just this end of this tool. So we'll demonstrate that right now. So I will get a bit of scrap pipe, loads of it, loads of offcuts. Always better to cut it 4 inches too long than 1 inch too short. Believe me, folks, been down this route and you end up wasting miles and miles and miles of it. Now, it's important to set the pipe at the correct depth, which is what I'm doing now. And then we'll nip up the bolts on the top. As you see, I've already had this apart and given it a quick wipe over on the inside. You don't need to go nuts doing this thing up. Take the depth gauge out, just double check on the tightness of those nuts. There we are. And then we'll get the female flare, and now using this end and a little bit of lube, which is, it says special punch grease, but as far as I'm aware it's just red brake caliper grease. It comes as part of the kit. I'll wind in just the female end of this and we will create a single flare. Done that. Take that out again. That's as easy as this tool is. It's, like I say, it's idiot proof. It's quick and it's idiot proof. I prefer the quickness. The speed of this thing is very, very, very good. Now, what we've effectively done here, created a nice big flare on the end there. But all I've done is force the pipe out like that. That's all that flare has done. That's what I call a single flare. Yeah? That's all I've done. 1 single flare. Now, some applications that might be acceptable. The problem I've got is that really you only have that single width of the conifer in order to, and that's a million times better than the shit that I took off the Series 3. If they come off the Series 3 looking like that, I would have thought, well, I wouldn't have kind of kept them like that, but you know, at least it was still a fighting chance of sealing. Okay? The ones that came off the Series 3 looked like someone had pushed the pipe into the ferrule. Here's a ferrule here, bent it a little bit and then screwed the ferrule in really tight to create its own flare. Honestly, gibbonry. So that's a single flare. Right, let's get the next one. And what I'll do now is I'll create how I would create a double flare. Now, in order to create a double flare, I need to create a bubble flare first of all. A bubble flare is what you would use for a male fixing, like that. A double flare is what I would use to use on the female fixing, like that. It is very, 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 very simple. So again, that female fixing could work on that, but I just don't like single flares. I think there's too much margin for error. So again, we'll tighten up the tool. We will undo the depth gauge. And now I'm going to create a bubble flare for that. And I do that using this end. So effectively what we're doing here is the middle of the pipe will go in there, and then I'm going to crush it down, and it will create the bubble inside the end of that housing. So again, a little bit of grease. Wind this in. And out. That should have created a nice bubble flare. So the 45-degree angle on there is designed to fit into the chamfered edge of the male fitting. When I push the male fitting up the pipe, you will see that that beveled edge goes neatly into the end of the male fixing, centres it, and then when I push it in, it's going to crush this end very, very slightly, but it will create a really, really, really good and effective seal of. If you have a cheap fixing like this one, it's got a completely flat end on it. When I push the pipe in, you can see now that the bevel is actually sitting proud of the end of the device. Now, it probably would work and it probably would seal, but not what I want to use on an SAE application, so I don't. You can have these things which are threaded right up to the end. You can have these things which have got a slight pilot on the end of them to help you fit them. Not a lot of difference as long as it's got that little recess in the end of it, in the tip of it, to allow you to pull the brake pipe in. Now, that's the male fixing, goes in there, all these male fixings here. In order to create the female fixing, what I'm going to do now, on the same pipe here, I'm going to put this pipe, oh no, I'm going to create another one. I'll create another end, the reason being is I need to re-depth it. So I'll set the depth again. This pipe's a little bit bent actually, it's not coming down the middle of the tool. Let's get a little bit of pipe. That bit will do. So let's put that one in. Yes, that's down the middle of the tool. Push the depth gauge in. When the depth gauge is in there, holding the pipe, again, whiz him up. Take the depth gauge out. I clean this tool up every, I don't know, half dozen flares or so, but when I finish the job, I'll also clean it up. So again, just nip that up. We'll create, there goes the coffee, we'll create another male bubble flare, but this time I'm not going to take it out of the tool. So I'm using the recessed end of the tool to create another male bubble flare. Take the male end out, leaving the pipe in the tool, flip it over to then crush the bubble. Take him out, take the tool out, and now what we should have done is created a double flare. We'll put that one there because that's the bubble. And then this one is the double flare. Now when I'm creating double flares, I do actually look around the edge of it. I can see a tiny piece of swarf there, so I do tend to go over them, over the edge, just with a Stanley knife, Stanley blade, just to make sure that there is no excess swarf. You can see a piece of swarf there. You don't want swarf in your braking system, so when you are creating these double flares, just be careful. What we've effectively done, so we've taken the double and we've pushed down on this edge. So we have created a double flare over here. So now when that goes into a female housing like that, the end of that fixing will mate up neatly against the end of this fixing and give you a fighting chance again of a decent union. Now the only difference between that one and that one is that this one has got two sheets of cunifer. We'll do it a bit bigger like that. Two sheets of cunifer at the end there, because I've created the original bubble and then I've squashed the top of the bubble down and into the base of the bubble. Now when that gets fitted into or fitted onto something like the flexi I've got here. This is bigger than 3/16. This is quite a big one. This is a 7/16 or something, so I can't fit it onto this. But when that all gets tightened down, it will actually modify that double flare even further, but not start to wear away at the faces where it meets the contact. It might start to wear away, but you've got 2 sheets of conifer there in order to prevent it failing. Single flare? No. Bubble flare, male fixings. Double flare, female fixings. Does it get any easier? No, Richard, it doesn't. Well, I hope it's helped you. If it has, you want to kind of, reward me for sharing this valuable information with you, then there's a PayPal me link scrolling at the bottom of the screen. Thank you very much indeed. Happy Christmas.